Hello and welcome to the Rangers Rabble reaction to today's Glasgow Cup Semi Final game between Rangers and Celtic. Rangers won out winners. That's an interesting start. Rangers went on to win the game 5-4 on penalties after the game finished 2-2 after 90 minutes. You know what? I actually really enjoyed the game. I thought both teams had a goal, and I think it's probably been the best of the three kind of games that the B team have played, recently. The two games in the league, I thought Rangers were probably too good for Celtic. Today, obviously, Celtic had called in Christopher Julian and Mikey Johnston, which obviously improves them straight away. When you can call in two first-team players to make, that kind of B team better, it's obviously going to make you more difficult to break down. But I have to say, I thought a lot of credit to the young lads. It would have been easy when they went 1-0 down and 2-1 down to just kind of give up the ghost almost. Especially, at times where I thought we were the better team, but we lost kind of poor goals at times, and that's maybe the disappointing thing for today. But the reality is, it's a cup semi-final. All you really want to do is win and get to the final, and that's exactly what we did. So I hope everybody enjoyed the game on YouTube. I posted the link earlier. The Academy page had obviously posted the link, so I hope most of the guys got to watch it. And we'll obviously just kind of go through the game and kind of discuss certain points. I know there's obviously some big games on tonight at 8, so we'll not keep you on for too long, especially Kerr. He's a big Man United fan, so he wants to go for the entire game, so he doesn't need to watch Man United get beat half a Liverpool.
And that will happen, Wally. That will
Oh,
happen.
no. Right, let's kick off. Obviously, were you surprised to see that Christopher Julian and Mikey Johnston started the game? I know, obviously, you're allowed to play the two players in the Glasgow Cup. We've obviously used Cedric Itten and Sikowski in some of the earlier games.
Yeah.
So was that a surprise that Celtic started those two players in this game?
Maybe Mikey Johnson, to be honest with you, because he's been about the first team. Julian's just coming back for a long term injury, isn't he? So I'm not really surprised he get minutes somewhere because obviously they try to get him back up to speed. I know it's no far until the end of the season, but they want him to get fit anyway. So I wasn't really surprised, to be honest with you. I don't know if the players are surprised, but somebody like Christopher Julian in an academy game, obviously a big ask for some of the Rangers players, but no doubt they'll be thinking to themselves, I'm up against this guy. He cost them like £8 million or something. So like guys like Tony Weston and Ross McCausland probably thinking, I'm going to give this a go because I don't really play against players of this ability every week.
No, and that's the thing. And, that was the idea behind like the old reserve league, is that players that were injured or maybe out of form or on the fringes could drop in and play like reserve games. So today's actually a really good like sort of barometer for some of the players. It's not that often that you come up against somebody like Christopher Julian that obviously Celtic paid a lot of money for. So it's like a really good experience for Alex, for Ross, for Tony, who are trying to obviously find space, create space, get in behind. It's so difficult when you play against somebody of that stature. He was a big, big man compared to the rest of the players on the pitch. And obviously, at the end of the day, Mikey Johnston has obviously been in the sort of periphery of the Celtic team. He's still a good player. He's still able to take players on. I thought Adam Devine in the main did really well. It was probably down the other side of the pitch with Dembele. They looked more of a threat today. But yet again, he's another guy that's played first team football for Celtic.
Yeah.
So it was a strong Celtic team today. So the fact the lads managed to come out and top, I think, shows the character of the team. And also, we're just going to touch on some of the goals, guys. I know there's already some comments there. We'll talk about the first goal from Celtic's point of view. It was a Rangers throw in, a bit slack in possession. I think it's Dembele that picks the ball up. He slides it into Mackenzie Carse. He hits it right across the penalty area, and Mikey Johnston's basically kind of standing on his own to tap it in. I know in these games, obviously, you always want to get the first goal, but do you think possibly just after what happened at the weekend, the players are like, it's fine, it's only 1-0, we can come back for this?
I think because they played in the last couple of times they've won, even when they go down, they thought, we're going to come back here anyway. I know you mentioned the two guys previously, Mikey Johnson and Christopher Julian, but I think the Rangers players are confident enough in their own ability and confident as a team that they've beat Celtic twice recently. I thought, but it's only 1-0, we're going to come back. I know they've done it twice to come back today, but it shows you the character of the team as well, Willie.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me was we probably had a kind of slack 5 minutes after that where maybe we didn't keep the ball as well as we normally do. But we'll obviously go on to the Rangers equaliser. It's a moment of quality, isn't it? We managed to get the ball in the middle of the park. We feed it wide to Robbie Fraser. I think in that position, a lot of fullbacks are just going to drive the ball across the penalty box, or they're going to try and, pick out a cross in the penalty box. Robbie either gets a shout or he sees Ross on the edge of the box, and it's a hell of a finish, Kerr, isn't it?
Oh, it was a great finish. He took it first time, didn't he? I'm just trying to think back because I just seen the goals, but I'm sure he took it first time. It was a great finish, but that's what Ross can do. He's scored a lot of goals this season. It's been great finishes, so that's the ability the guy's got, and it was a great finish by Ross. But it was a good build-up play.
Yeah, I think the big thing for Ross, and you hit the nail on the head, I think that's his 17th goal this season. It's not bad for a guy who in the main has played wide, so like it shows you the different types of goals he can score as well. And I think the thing with Ross is, and the club obviously see it as well, because he's under contract now until 2024.
Yeah.
The club see the quality that Ross has got, and for him to take that on the volley, 20 yards out, I mean, the goalkeeper had no chance. The goalie can't really react to that. By the time Ross has caught it, it's in the back of the net. The goalie's just got no chance whatsoever. And I actually thought we get kind of stronger towards the end of that first half. And yeah, again, I wanted to kind of pick up on the referee as well. I thought the referee was very officious today at times. I didn't think it was an overly dirty game or an overly physical game, but it felt like he was just booking guys for fun at times. And I think in these kind of games, you kind of take away from like the quality of the football when you just constantly book players for things that are probably just a talking to at times. I don't know if he's just felt because it's a big game, it's a cup game, a cup semi final between Rangers and Celtic. He's got to put a marker down. But I think when you book one player for something that's not really that much of a booking, you're then forced into booking other players for things that aren't bookings. And I think he kind of got himself kind of caught in that today. And maybe he'll learn for that in the future, as I say. Into the second half, again, I thought we actually started reasonably well. I thought we moved the ball pretty well. I thought we were looking dangerous. And then we obviously go and lose a goal. It was a great bit of skill from Dembele. He kind of suckers Robbie Fraser in, spins and goes. Robbie will be disappointed because I thought in the main Robbie did pretty well against him, and he has done in previous games as well. It was just that one moment Dembele managed to kind of drop the shoulder a little bit and go, which can happen because obviously Dembele is a good footballer. He obviously gets past another Rangers player. I think it's Murray Muller. And then he plays the ball into the box. I think it's Ben Summers that takes the touch and slots it by Bud, who has got no chance, to be fair to him. He's trying to make himself big, but he manages to slot it through his legs, I think it was. So at that time in the stand, when you're watching the game, you kind of start to worry that maybe it's not going to be our day and that, Celtic are maybe going to come out on top. But yet again, the boys get back into the game and they showed that grit and desire and the fight. And then obviously we go and equalise. Obviously, there's been a lot of chat on Twitter about the pick-up from Charlie. It's a fantastic pass for Charlie, but I think, as I also said, it's the run from Cole McKinnon. It's the fact that he sees the pass, he makes the run, he then takes a really good first touch, and then he just dinks it by the goalkeeper. Is that just one of those really good all-round goals, Kerr, that you love watching?
It is, but I think obviously Charlie knows Cole's ability and vice versa. Cole knows Charlie's abilities. He knows if he makes that run, he'll play the ball and vice versa. And that's what Cole McKinnon can bring. He's a box-to-box player. He can finish. And every time I've seen Cole, I've been impressed by the lad, I have to say. And I think he's a guy who should be given a chance next season. I don't know if he will, but I think he should because I think he's got a bit of everything. I've said it before. He can tackle, he can pass, he's box-to-box, but he can score goals. And he makes the late runs into the box, which is very difficult at times to pick up.
No, I think that's one of Cole's specialties, to be honest, and something I really, really like about him. We'll touch on some of the comments after we spoke about the penalties because I can see there's some questions in there and some remarks about the game. So we'll pick up on those once we get through the penalties. Obviously, the game goes to penalties, 2-2 full time. It's always a lottery, isn't it? You just don't really know what's going to happen with penalties, but they were really good penalties. Obviously, Leon, he just uses a bit of finesse with his, a wee bit of power. Cole, I thought, took his penalty really coolly. Alex Lowry takes their penalties that just caused me to have a heart scare. I mean, honestly, he's the most nonchalant penalty taker I think I've ever seen. Just unbelievably casual, but he just very rarely misses. Robbie Fraser scored. I was actually looking at Robbie's dad at the time when Robbie was taking his penalty, and I think his dad might have been having heart palpitations at the time. Because obviously, you don't want your son to obviously miss a penalty. But yeah, again, Robbie took his penalty really, really well.
He did, yeah.
Then Ben Wiley goes and misses his penalty. But I have to say, really good save by Lewis Buddenowskis. I thought Bud had a couple of good saves in the game. So, fair credit to Bud. He probably doesn't get spoken about all that much on the academy pods because obviously Jay's played a lot of football this year. But Bud obviously played really well at Parkhead in the Lonely League game. And I thought he had a really good game today again. And then obviously Charlie McCann. I mean, it had to be Charlie McCann. He seems to be one of the more disliked Rangers players at the moment, Charlie. Maybe due to some of his social media posts at times, but he took his penalty really well, and obviously Rangers won the game 5-4. We'll just kind of touch on some of the comments. I've kind of picked a few out, so we'll just kind of go over them, and we'll just kind of answer some of the questions or agree or disagree with what you've got to say. The first one comes to CGM. They played their best centre half, cost them £8 million. Yeah, I thought before the injury, Julian was probably the best centre back they had. So obviously to see him playing in an academy game today is great. It's great for our lads to play against somebody like that. And I think that's why, a lot of our guys would have taken that today in terms of the win, but also, they've come away from that game knowing that they've been in a battle. Especially the strikers, the three strikers who are trying to, sort of get Julian into bad positions, and at times he didn't, to be fair to him. I thought he had a really solid game, as you would expect of a player of that calibre. CGM as well, I have to say I was disappointed with Lowry, Weston and McCann, and for me the standout player was Cole McKinnon. Yeah, look, I don't think Alex had his best game today. I think that's fair. Alex at times maybe overdoes it, but that's what you get for Alex. He can do magical things. I know at times he probably frustrates people, but I love watching him. I see Tony had a tough battle against Christopher Julian, as would most players of that age. But I thought he kept working hard. I thought he kept trying to run the channels. Charlie, I think, was playing a little bit deeper today than what we've maybe seen him at times recently. And I think maybe he wasn't able to get into the final third as much as he would like. But obviously, he plays the assist for the goal. So from his point of view, and he scored the winning penalty, I'm sure he's pretty happy. Cole, I mean, I'll come to you on him, Kerr. I know how big a fan you are of Cole. Does today just confirm what you already think about Cole?
Yeah, I mean, for the very first time I seen him, I think I was sitting mute at the time and said to yourself, who is this boy? And you're telling me every time I see him, he just impresses. And there's not a lot else he can do for me. He's consistent. He's a team player. I think he's a really good team player. I know you mentioned Lowry there, McCann, but they're more attacking minded players, so they're going to have a bit inconsistencies in their game. Maybe they take risks that you shouldn't have, or they go quiet at times. But Cole, just a box to box midfielder who's always involved, who always wants to get involved. He can keep it simple. He can play it long. He can get into the box and be seen and score, but he can put in the tackles as well. And I think, like I said, I don't know how many times I'm going to say it, but I think he deserves a chance next season, maybe being in pre-season or some point, because there's not much else Cole can do, will he? And I don't know, he'll probably end up going out on loan or something, but he deserves a chance because, like I say, there's nothing else he can do apart from doing what he's doing.
Yeah. Another comment for Lee Brown. He obviously feels the same way. Thought Cole McKinnon was phenomenal. Can't disagree with that. CGM again. The first finish was quality. Yeah, I mean, you'll not see many better goals than that, to be honest with you. Thomas saying, Alex started to show his quality as the game went on, was having a stinker early on. Yeah, look, I mean, that's what I said earlier about Alex. Alex at times maybe isn't always a 90-minute guy, but he can do these things within the game that can create a goal. He can score a goal. He can do something that other players can, and that's why Alex is so sought after, because he's that kind of player. The ball for the second goal was class. Yeah, look, we've already spoke about Charlie's goal assist. Sorry, it was a fabulous ball. I mean, I know people will kind of look at Charlie and sort of, I think he's another one, isn't he, Kerr, that some people would like to see in the first team next season, if not maybe just away for pre-season to see how he would kind of cope.
I think if you're Charlie's probably a wee bit further ahead than some because he was at Man United and he was in the under 23, so he's putting a lot of people who are a bit more physical, a wee bit older. So I think he's more ready if he's given the run, but it's up to the manager to get. But I wouldn't blow me if Charlie got an eye, because I think Charlie's got the ability to come in, and we wouldn't have paid money for him, Willie, or to bring him up to Scotland if we didn't think he was going to be challenging the first team at some point.
No, I do agree. Another good point for you, Jamie, does make a lot. I don't like to kind of stroke his ego, but I thought the fullbacks did play well today. I thought Adam and Robbie got forward well. And I think that's a big part of our game, just like obviously the first team under Steven Gerrard and obviously the game against Braga. I think when our fullbacks are high and they're getting right up the pitch, I think that's when we're at our most dangerous. And I think today, like you see, like Robbie obviously getting the assist for Ross's goal. And I thought Adam did well to get forward as well. But he obviously spent a good part of the game trying to track Mikey Johnston, which isn't easy. Let's see what else have we got. Great result for the B team today. Yeah, I mean, the B team's had a pretty successful last couple of weeks against Celtic. 3 wins from 3. Can't really ask much more from the boys. Paul says that was some finish from Ross. He opened his foot and passed it by the goalkeeper. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. If you actually see the technique, when you see it slowed down, it really is just a fabulous, fabulous finish. And I know for a fact that Ross is going for a nice dinner tonight. So enjoy it, mate. Hope you have a good night. Great goal. I'm sure you'll have that saved somewhere for future reference, because anytime you score against Celtic's obviously a special moment for any Rangers player. See James saying they had a few big boys playing for them. Yeah, look, Celtic do have some big physical presences in there. I think the boy Lawal, who's number 6 today, normally plays at centre-back, but was in midfield. He's a big, strong lad. Obviously, Christopher Julian's a big, strong lad. The other centre-back is a big, strong lad as well. And I think at times we've played around them well, especially in the games where, like, obviously Christopher Julian hasn't been playing. I think we've moved the ball well, and that's what's really hurt Celtic. And that's something that we just need to keep doing, because I feel if we play more 1 and 2 touch football, these guys are not going to get that close to us, because we're good enough to get the ball in behind like we were for the second goal that Cole scored. And it's all about the movement of the players from middle to front, because I don't think that the 2 centre-backs who have played against us in the main are as good as maybe what some Celtic teams have been in the past. So I do think, obviously, we can hurt them a bit more. Let's see, what else have we got? See, Jenny saying, I thought he should have fouled Dembele. Yeah, look, it's one of those ones. Could Murray Muller just have fouled Dembele to stop him getting any further? It's one of those ones. Obviously, there was a lot of discussion about what Kemar Roof did at the weekend and the sort of professional nature of the foul. So, yeah, you could 100% argue that maybe...
Listen, Willie, my son played against Dembele for about 5 seasons, and he found it hard to get close to him. Never mind foul him. Even back when he was young, he was a really good player, and he was quick, and he had fast feet, and he's got a sense of balance when he runs. He can go left or right and still goes quick. So I can understand why he didn't foul him, because he is very tricky and he is very quick.
Yeah, he's a quality player, Dembele. Anybody that's seen him would tell you that. I think he's never really took a growth spurt, so he's still very small, and I think that's a concern potentially for some other teams. I think he's actually out of contract this summer, if my memory serves me right, so it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. Thomas is saying, why was there no extra time? Basically, that's the rules of the Glasgow Cup. It's 90 minutes and straight to penalties. I think it's just mainly due to the fact that it's such a condensed schedule of games, and the fact that another 30 minutes extra time, I think they've just decided that straight to penalties is just the easiest option in days like this. And I personally think it's the best way of doing it, because the extra time, it can sometimes be really poor extra time in some games, whereas you go to penalties, you know the result within 5 or 10 minutes, and that's the game over. And I think when it's the Glasgow Cup, it just makes a lot more sense. It's obviously not the strongest of the competitions overall, but it's still one that you want to be successful in. And obviously, fortunately enough, we were the winners today on penalties. Lowry taking a penalty is filthy in a good way. Yeah, look, I mean, I think the first time I seen Alex do it, he was maybe 15 or 16, and it was just crazy. You know, he takes like a couple of steps. He kind of looks to where the goalkeeper's body is going, and then he just rolls. I mean, see if the goalkeeper goes the same way as the ball, he probably doesn't even need to dive. He could probably just pick it up because
Yeah.
Alex doesn't put a huge amount of pace on it. But he just seems to send the goalkeeper the other way so well. Do you know, it's scary. Paul again says, Lowry penalty, take a bow, massive praise for wee Bud. Yeah, look, we'll come to Bud. I'm going to bring up that to Kerr next. How important is a goalkeeper in games where maybe he's not under that much pressure? You know, like Bud didn't have that many saves to make overall, but he did make at least 2 good saves in the game, and then he makes the big penalty save. Like, so see at Rangers, are we maybe just lucky that for a long time we've just always had good goalkeepers and we just expect them to be of a good standard even at academy level?
I think that's part of the problem. I think we've always had somebody in the first team who's been really, really good, and we've not had a lot of boys coming through the academy into the goals, have we? We've always brought goalies in, and Bud, what I've seen him, looks a good keeper, so does Jay. But there's been Robbie McCrory as well, done okay when he came in. There's been a lot of boys coming through the academy, and they never really made the first team or anywhere, even in the benches. It's always been me bringing goalkeepers in. But the two boys have done well, and Bud done well. What I seen today, Bud done really well, and when he saved the penalty at the end of the day, when it goes to penalties, well, and the goalkeeper's only ones that's not really getting to lose, because if they save something, they're heroes if they let it in. It's the
Yeah,
players that get that was a good penalty. Do you know what I mean? So the
of course.
goalkeeper's not going to do it. But I know a couple of people mentioned he looks a bit small. He might do, but Andy Gordon wasn't the biggest either, was he?
No,
And look how
true.
good he was. So if he
100%.
continue with the way he's going, who knows what will happen? But like I say, Bud's a good keeper, and so is Jay. So it's just interesting to see. I was going to ask you, is any of these boys that played today, will they all be here next season, or do you think some will be away? I don't mean on loan, but I just mean away.
Yeah, well, a few of them are out of contract, and I don't think anything's been confirmed yet on some of them. So, yeah, look, there is a possibility. So, obviously, Bud Ingles, I believe, is out of contract in the summer. Kyle McClelland is out of contract in the summer. Cole McKinnon's out of contract in the summer as well. And I think the one or two on the bench are out of contract as well. Um, I think Murray Muller might be out of contract. I was just going to try to kind of rack my
Right.
brain there. So, like, there's a possibility that a couple of them might move on just because they want to go and play first team football,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
rather than hanging about. Some will go out on loan as well. And then it depends what happens in the summer. Obviously, we spoke about Charlie McCann, Leon King, Alex Lowry, Cole McKinnon. They could go and become part of the first team potentially if the manager chooses to do that.
Yep.
If not, I would imagine some of those guys might go out and loan at a good level where they're going to be tested every week. So that'll be interesting to see.
Well, one more thing, Willie. I seen rumours today that Alec has been linked with Newcastle. Any truth in
Yeah.
that?
No, that I've heard, mate, but like it's that time of the season, innit? And obviously, when a player's got 1 year left in his contract and Alex has obviously made an impact, you're going to get things coming out in the papers. I mean, at the end of the day, when you get things out in the paper saying that his agent's talking to Newcastle, I don't, well, officially in football, that shouldn't happen because the guy's under contract.
Yeah, I know.
So, but it does happen. We all know what happens.
Is that an agent? Is that the agent playing mind games with the club just to see if he get a
Exactly.
bigger deal?
Of course, mate, and I think a lot of that's part of the game that gets played between the agent and the club, isn't it? And it's just something we have to accept. I still feel pretty positive that Alex will re-sign. I think he loves being at Rangers, and I think he can go on to become a really good player for the football club. So I really hope he decides to stay and have a long future at Rangers. Why was the game played at the training ground and not Ibrox? Basically, all these Glasgow Cup games are played at the training ground. Tonight, I think it's Clyde against Queen's Park. So whoever wins that will be in the final. And then the final's at Broadwood. I don't think a date's been set yet, but the game will be played at Broadwood, I believe, from what one of the guys was saying today. But yet again, we'll need to wait to see if that's confirmed. Alfredo says, question, do we put Lowry out on loan in the Prem or do we keep him in a small game time? I think Gio will try and keep him similar to what Pep does. I'll come to you on that, Kev. What's your preference? If Alex signs his new deal, what's your preference? Is it to go out and get him maybe 30 or 35 games in the Premier League at a club? Or would you rather stay at Rangers and kind of work under Gio and his staff?
I'd rather see him stay and be part of the first team. I think he's shown that he's good enough, and I think he's shown that he can get better as well. So I think if he was part of the first team next season, I don't expect him to play every week, but I think there's certain games he can come in and help. There's certain games he could probably start, so I don't see why he should be loaned out.
Well, I'll just come back to CGM there. He's saying his ego's fine. Don't worry. I'm glad of that, mate. Cheers. Just wanted to make sure you were okay.
Somebody asked you about that new boy that signed today.
Yeah, I'm just kind of slotting through.
All right.
One of the comments, interestingly, is if the league goes, why not give Cole 20 minutes? Something we were talking about at today's game actually kind of comes into play there. If the league's over and we go to Tynecastle in the last game of the season, it'll be interesting to see who the manager plays, because it might be a chance for somebody like Leon to start, or Alex to start, or for Charlie McCann to come in, or for Cole to be in the bench. So I think that's something to look out for potentially. Yep. You know, maybe against Hearts we might see one or two coming in, but we'll obviously need to wait and see how the league goes in the coming 2 or 3 weeks' time. Let's have a look. Why is the boy Rory Wilson not in the B team? Rory has played for the B team and the 18s. He was actually sitting in the stand today watching the game. So it's obviously just the manager's choice, whoever he picked. The 18s are playing on Friday afternoon against Goalkeeper Cup at the training ground. So I'd imagine Rory will be involved then, but he just wasn't stripped today for the B team. Love watching the B team play. Can tell they all love playing for Rangers, especially love getting a win. Yeah, look, I think this is a really good group of players, a group that enjoy playing with each other. You know, I think they've got like a really good sort of camaraderie. I think they actually enjoy the battle, which is important in these kind of games, because you do need to win that battle, don't you, in every one of these ones? Let's have a look. They seem to have been talking about Dembele for years. Yeah, look, I think Dembele's been spoken about probably in the same kind of manner as Billy Gilmour. I never personally thought that Dembele was at the same level as Billy Gilmour. I think he's a very talented kid. But I think the talk at the time was always that they felt as though he had to take a stretch, like he had to grow a bit, and that's not really happened. And I think maybe that's one of the fears, unfortunately, that he would maybe get bullied at times. And when you see the size of Julian, can you imagine a fullback that size playing against Dembele? You know,
just run through his legs, will he?
Look, but it could also take some pretty severe, you know, sort of tackles as well.
I don't see him being. I see him maybe leaving. I see him going down to England to further his career, or maybe abroad, because he's got ability. But you say he's not really taking a stretch, and he looks the same size as he was maybe 10 years ago, which isn't great. But doesn't mean he's not going to make it as a footballer because he's small. Do you know what I mean? But that's up to Celtic. That's not up to us.
No, that's it, mate. It will be interesting to see what happens over the coming weeks. We might get to see one or two of the lads given an opportunity to play. Right, Paul's asking, who was the young lad they signed yesterday? It's Christian Malundwa. I've actually seen Christian, I think, twice now. He did come off the bench. You might have actually seen it on the Rangers Academy Twitter. He came off the bench against Hamilton in a game. I think I'd also seen him at least once, maybe twice, in bounce games. He looks a decent player, Christian. But yeah, again, it'll be interesting to see how he copes next year in the 18s league, because I would imagine he'll be part of the squad more often. Right. So without kind of putting any pressure on him, I thought he did okay. I'm not going to say he's a superstar and he's going to be the next big thing. So, let's just be patient with him. Let's give him time. I believe some other young players have been signed by Rangers as well, but I'll not say too much in case I get into trouble. So watch out. I think there'll be some more announcements coming in the next couple of weeks anyway. Alex should listen to Leon and sign. Yeah, look, Alex will make his own decision. He's a very bright boy. His family, I'm sure, will be there with him as well. It'll be interesting, but I do believe that Alex will stay. That's just my personal opinion. I might end up being proved wrong, but I do think Alex will stay. And hopefully we see a lot more of him in obviously the Rangers first team. Let's see what have we got. What we got?
You've answered that one.
I was just reading through it there. Yeah, mate, we got Christian Malundwa. Hopefully you'll get to see more of him next year. If you get to any of the 18 games, hopefully you'll get to see him.
Where did he come from, Willie?
I think he's from one of these like sort of English academies that are in and around London. You know, so like he's not actually affiliated to like a club. He's basically linked to one of these academies.
I seen he maybe had a couple of games with Brentford. Is that correct?
I think a lot of these boys kind of have like sort of been around other clubs and training and things like that.
Right.
So I think that's something that happens quite regularly. And actually, we've had a few of these lads up recently. When is the 18th Cup final? Right, Stuart, that's next Wednesday. So I think it's the 27th. It's at Hampden. And I think it's a 7:30 or 7:45 kickoff. I just need to get that confirmed. Tickets are on sale via the Scottish FA website. It's £8 for adults and £3 for kids. So if you're not doing anything next Wednesday, get along and support the young lads against Hearts. It should be a really good game. And I'm sure they would appreciate a big support to back them throughout the 90 minutes. So, yeah, hopefully we can get a good crowd there to give the lads a good bit of backing. Let's see, what else have we got? I think as us kind of caught up, we've kind of hit the half an hour mark, so I don't want to kind of keep you on for too much longer. Just want to thank you yet again for tuning in. It was a great victory today. I thought the lads played really, really well. It's never easy to play the same team 3 times in a matter of weeks because like they get to know each of the games. They pick up a little bit more about how you're set up, how you play. So I think today was probably a little bit more grit and fight that maybe we've had to do in the previous 2 games at times. But, you know, the character of the team, even after being behind twice, they still come back to win it on penalties. So really proud of all the lads. And just a wee quick thing, we'll hopefully have a couple of giveaways to do in the next Academy pod. That'll be in a few weeks' time. If you've not seen the game, it's still on YouTube. I'll post a link on Twitter again if anybody wants to see it. You can watch the whole game back. I'll do that straight after this pod is finished as well. So check out my Academy Twitter at RFC Youth Updates and you can re-watch the game if you haven't seen it already. Thanks very much for tuning in and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Cheers.